The execution of 9 people in a South Carolina church has plunged America into a serious time of sympathy, courage, and sad to say, reactionary thinking. Whether you consider this a crime or not, this was all about hate, a word that flooded the airwaves in the last 24 hours and forces everyone to consider how to answer one question, which I will pose following this small sample of how America reacted.
Hate is legal because what you're saying is you're taking something that is cognizable at law, which is a crime, and you're penalizing somebody because they dare to utter a reason for it that is already constitutionally protected. You can hate anybody you want. You can hate anybody. Blacks, whites, Jews, Christians, women, it doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with hating. I mean, there is personally, but that's not against the law.
Do you view this as an act of terrorism?
Well, I don't know how you define terrorism. You know, I think I would consider it a hate crime. I think, obviously, for him to pick an African-American church and shoot African-American members, there's something weird and bad and hateful going on in his mind.
Have you talked to your friends? Have you had a chance to communicate with others who were at this high school with this man who is now basically accused out in public of a heinous crime?
It is a terrorist attack. White people are terrorists.
Hang on. I had to hear you on the chief.
Emanuel Church. The church itself is not open for some time. I'm joined now by Don Lemon, who's here with me.
And a friend.
Yeah, I missed a little bit of the show.
Yeah. Well, you can understand why people are upset because, you know, this doesn't happen. This shouldn't happen to anyone. The whole thing that we have been talking about is whether this is terrorism or not. And I think it is terrorism. By any stretch of the imagination, you can understand that people are upset. But, you know, we're going to continue to talk about that.
The president himself said he's angry today.
Right.
And local leaders said they are angry, too, that violence like this can't happen in a church. But everyone I've spoken to here as well has also talked about healing.
Yeah. I just think it's really sad that when we have 9 people who've lost their lives.
We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break
and
so we can have a real
deal
conversation
with something like this.
Let's
but I think it's important, too, that people see the ignorance with it.
The Illuminati want our guns, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, and this whole Charleston church shooting, the narrative is just too perfect. I'm not going to come out and say that this is definitely a false flag, definitely a staged event, but look at the narrative, the race baiting thing, the gun control thing. They've been harping on this the past few years, foaming at the mouth, trying to get black folks and white folks to fight amongst one another, trying to get the American people to willingly give up their firearms so that they can come in and just bully us, okay, and tell us what to do with their government cronies, their ATF, FBI, military, martial law, Jade Helm, the freaking troops. They're just gonna... Oh, it's so obvious what they're trying to do.
South Carolina is one of 5 states that does not have a hate crimes law. South Carolina is the only state that I'm aware of that still flies a Confederate flag in front of the State House dome. South Carolina represents and is emblematic of the problem, which is words that come from these networks that broadcast what they call news, but it's not. It's really hate speech and coded language, and leads people to believe that they can walk into a church because it's no longer a house of God. It's a killing ground. It's a place that they can feel free to desecrate and leave blood everywhere. And that's what this young man did. And he did so based on some ill-gotten belief, on some wrong belief that it's okay to do that. He hears that because he watches the news and he watches things like Fox News, where they talk about things that they call news, but they're really not.
I think that this may be a setup, you know, a staged event to cause further division between the races in America. It seems the way that the media and the government's been playing it. You know, it's always a white guy. It's always against people because they're black. Now, I remember a time when there was racism in America, you know, and it never went away.
All right, the question's a simple one. What are you prepared to personally do to fight against the level of hate rising in this country? Let us hope there are those among the smartest audience in television who have the courage to answer this. What are you prepared to do personally? Dig into it. Don't just send me a one-word answer. Send it along the line. Let's talk about it here. Personally, what are you prepared to do now? Rock on, true believers. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday, right back here on The Hard Line.